Hey, buddy.
Hey, Kelley.
How you doing?
I'm good. It's been a really cool 6 days or so since our last one of these. Cool things have happened.
Like, cool literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Yeah, it did get nice and cool, didn't it?
Yeah, it's real cool right now. I'm making some chicken and dumplings tonight because that's good, cool weather.
Ash has already been eating chili for lunch a bunch of days.
Yeah.
She was complaining today, and I was like, now is the chili weather. This is when you should want to have chili.
Silly.
Chili.
I'm gonna make some chili next after I do the chicken and dumplings.
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting to do that because I made some homemade chili for the first time, like last cold season, and it was pretty good.
Very good.
I think I can improve. So.
You only made one chili the whole cold season?
I think so. I mean, that was the first time I ever made chili.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than, like, opening a can of wolf chili and, like, heating it up.
Yeah.
Like, from scratch chili.
It's actually chili.
What's that?
Just opening a can of wolf chili.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
Like, you know something that came up in that, since Ashley's been doing chili?
What's that?
Can openers and how you open a can.
Okay.
Do you go at it from the side or vertically?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
I was always taught and I brought up with coming at it vertically from the top. And then, yeah, but I've then since seen things on the internet where they say, like, you're supposed to do it on the side, and that's the proper way to do it.
You ever fuck around? You ever try that out?
I have.
Yeah.
I think I've spent so many years doing it the way that I do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a real, like, the other way's not that much better.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, right now our can opener's pretty busted up. It's pretty fucked up.
Pretty gnarly?
Yeah. And I'm not even going to get into that whole situation.
There's a situation.
There's a situation.
It's not just use or age.
No. Okay, so I'm going to get into it.
You're going to get into it? You don't have to.
I'm going to get into it.
Get into it. Here we go.
So, as everybody probably knows that listens to this, I've lived with Jeremy for a very long time. Like, literally since I moved out of my parents' first house, I've lived with him everywhere I've lived. Or my parents' house. Not my parents' first house. My parents' house. When I was like 19, we moved in together with Corey, and then
not like just the two of you. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But he's been the one constant. I've lived with him forever.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time now, we had this can opener. It was fully functional. It was like all kind of metal. Had a little nice grip covering. Just real sturdy. It always worked. But then at some point when we got to this house, I think he just kind of decided that it was a little too old and wanted to get a new one. And so he got a new one. It looked nice, fancy-ish. And then he was like, all right, I'm going to throw the old one away now. And I was like, whoa. Do we really... I mean, shouldn't we maybe have a backup or do something? I mean, it's a functioning can opener.
It still does what it do.
And he's like, nah, we don't need it. Mm-hmm. So he threw it away. And, like, the second use of the new one he got, it broke. Mm-hmm. The handle broke. So, I mean, if you hold it just right and you do things carefully, you can still use it. Mm-hmm. And it's the only can opener we have, so I've used it plenty of times since. But I really miss that old can opener.
Yeah. Do you know how many years you had it?
Oh, a lot.
Multiple places?
Yeah. Yeah, a while. A good long while.
That's something you have to get to, like, our age to understand. Like, oh, if it lasted that long, it could just go on literally forever. Like, and you bought this new thing that looks pretty, but maybe you take for granted that it'll last as long as the last one.
To be fair, I totally understand why he wanted to replace the old one. Like, it looked all kind of, like, rusted on, like, the cutting surfaces and in that area, and we never really probably washed it as much as we ever needed to.
Okay.
I don't know why, for me, like, a can opener, it's not, like, unless, like, I visibly see something on it, like, it's just, you use it, you put it back, you don't wash it.
I bet it's also one of those things that despite the decade plus of using it and it never getting you sick, I bet this new one gets you sick.
Hey, I don't know, man, but yeah. So.
Oops. Oh, so chili can opening.
Mm-hmm.
I go from the side.
Okay, has that been like forever thing, or has that
definitely adulthood? I think I picked it up after high school, but certainly maybe it was an army thing. I don't know. I've been doing it for so long that I don't know exactly when it started.
Okay.
But I opened a can in front of Ashley. I just thought it was like magic. And some like exotic thing I was doing. I was like, nah, I mean, I get like, because I also started doing it vertically. Like, I get that's how most folks probably do it. But she was like, this is the right way. And I was like, yeah, technically, I guess.
Well, okay, so I think while you're talking, I was like going back in my mind, trying to pinpoint my can opening beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at my grandmother's house, which I spent a lot of time there growing up, just for reasons. She had a motorized one.
This is resonating with me because when I've tried to think about where I started, also grandparents and also a machine.
It was one that you put it in, like you held it up to the thing, you pulled a thing down like you would if you're using a can opener, like vertically. Mm-hmm. And then when you press the lever down enough, it hits an actuator button that then you let go of the can and it just spins and it cuts the top off. And then there's an overhanging magnet that's like on top of the can. So then when you lift up the lid when you're done, it stays, the lid stays on the magnet, doesn't fall into the can, and then you have a perfectly cut open can. And then you just take the lid off the magnet, throw it away. Mm. And I guess I remember that, and I always enjoyed that little machine. Mm-hmm. Just, I mean, as a really young kid.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I thought, like, well, the machine did it that way. That's how I need to do it. Mm. But I never had that special magnetic hanging down part, which is the whole downside to that technique, is because once you get to the end, if you cut it all the way through it, the last bit of it, it drops into the can. Mm-hmm. So.
There you go.
Who would have ever guessed we would have talked 7 minutes about can opening?
Yeah, we do spend like 10-ish minutes beforehand. Like, these are the things that I wanted to talk about. Do you have anything to talk about? We didn't talk about can opening.
Not in the slightest. But that's why these things are so magical. To me, at least.
So I did come in here hot, but in a good way. Very pleased. I think most folks know that I am in a sales role, a sales job, selling software to the government. Mm-hmm. And this is not unique to any of that except for the sales part. I think that there's just a lot of disappointment, a lot of frustration, a lot of swinging of the bat and not hitting shit. Yeah. And then, the opposite happens too, like one every 6 times we come in here. It's something like this, where I just got off a call an hour ago, 2 hours ago, that was a home run.
Yeah. And
feel great about. And that's me right now. Which I think like 2 weeks ago was the exact opposite.
Yeah, I remember the exact opposite episode. Mm-hmm. That was not a great day for you. But yeah, I totally get it, and I'm super glad that you had something good happen.
Yeah.
I won't even begin to ask you the specifics, because I know working with the government, everything's all hush hush, classified kind of situation. So.
And it's boring stuff. It's neither here nor there. It's just it's just work.
No, I know.
Around the world, work is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I think if anybody else listening is in sales or any other kind of sales, that feeling of treating it like a batting average of, if you do well, like 1 in 3 times, you're an MVP.
Right.
And I'm not an MVP. How was your week so far?
Meh. Yeah, I mean, it's another week. I've really just been focusing on getting to next week and just...
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, and not even just because of Thanksgiving, just the days off. Like, I'm just all... I mean, I've been thinking, like, let's get to this Friday, and then I'm off 7 of the next 9 days.
Nice.
So, that's all I'm looking forward to. I really don't have any Thanksgiving plans. I'm trying to figure that out, but I really don't want to fucking cook this year. Like,
at all?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I just wish someone would cook for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't get that really much anymore. I'm tired of cooking for other people. So I don't know if I want to do it this year.
Okay.
But we'll figure something out. But otherwise, yeah, just looking forward to having that much time off. I haven't had that much time off in a while now. At least like 5-day consecutive off. Like it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had 4 for Jeremy's birthday.
Yeah.
But 5, yeah. That's all I'm really looking forward to. I mean, other than that, this week, nothing too exciting happened. Just plugging along, plugging away.
I had the exact opposite. Thanks to Jeremy. One of my birthday presents was him taking me to the TCU at UT game, which we've talked about this the last few weeks, that both Michigan and TCU having historically good seasons. I think Michigan probably has a few more similar analogous seasons of very long undefeated streaks and genuine hopes for the national championship. TCU is not. We've had great seasons and epic bowl games, but never a clear line of sight to the literal championship game. There was a Rose Bowl year where I think it was one of those in the BCS times of that kind of confusion of who's the champion. But not like we have now with like a legit championship game.
Right. And
still ranked number 4. We're ranked number 4 right now. But when we went into the TCU UT game, UT was ranked something. TCU was also ranked number 4 like they are this week. And I think you had said in the last podcast that Vegas was giving UT, like spotting them 7 points, that the line was
UT minus 7 or something like that.
So that they were expecting. How does that work? That they were expecting TCU to lose?
Yeah, minus 7 means you don't win unless UT would have won by less than 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to win, they would have had to beat TCU by 7 points. So that means that they were favorites.
Yeah.
They were, to win the game, UT were the favorites.
And playing in Austin, UT having, this I thought was interesting, UT has like probably the guy that's going to be the number 1 running back in next year's draft, Bijan Robinson, and we've got the guy that's probably going to be the number 1 wide receiver in Quentin Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
So I was interested in how that would play out. But Jared gets these tickets. Yeah. And then between getting the tickets and that weekend, we found out that Third Eye Blind was doing whatever UT calls their like Austin City Limits. Might be like Texas City Limits or something silly.
Yeah.
But the point is to bring in like musical act before the game. And I've never seen Third Eye Blind live. Yeah. I know that he has and you guys have. But for whatever reason.
I have not.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I assume that you had gone with him because he's been like twice, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, anyways. So I was excited for it because that was literally the first CD that I ever owned in 7th grade. Was their Third Eye Blind. I think it might be that name of the CD as well. But that's why I was excited to see that. We rolled down there and got into the parking garage, which is will come up later. Was 5th and Red River.
Mm-hmm.
Walk to 6th Street and eat at a place called Camino El Casino. Have you heard of it?
It's Casino El Camino.
Okay. Have you heard of it?
I've been there.
All right. I had never been. And
how do you know I haven't heard? I'm sure I preached about it before.
Really?
Yeah.
Then I was ignoring you.
That happens. No one ever listens to me.
So we get there, and we're walking past all these other establishments that a lot of the meeting rooms at the Austin office were named after, because the meeting rooms are named after like local Austin establishments. Mm-hmm. And the Velveeta room is a place that comes up because they do comedy and improv stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And a bunch of others. But we get in there, and it is like a dive. Like, it's super dark. We eat upstairs, and the ceilings are lower than the ceilings in this room that we're in right now. And just all blacked out. But the food was incredible. The burgers were amazing. Okay. We got chili fries, too. We're going to...
Well, I was just going to say, like, I've known about that place for a long time. I've been there once. And, like, it's been on, like, TV as, like, one of the nation's best burgers. Like, ranked a lot. Like, it's a highly touted burger. And for a long time, and probably even still to this day, it's probably the best burger in the greater Austin area.
It was really good. Casino El Camino, y'all.
Yeah.
But we...
Do they still do the thing where, like, they cut it in half and then kind of, like, toast the open face halves?
I think so.
It was... Yeah, I remember them doing that, and that was real good. Sorry, continue.
That was amazing. And then headed towards the game, and just the timing was all perfect. Like, we Ubered up Red River to the campus, and got out, and as soon as, like, our feet hit the pavement, we started doing the sound check, and just walked a couple blocks, and just a bunch of people on a hill looking at and all these pictures are on Facebook of the concert and the different things I'm about to talk about. But they played probably 6 or 7 songs. It was really nice. It's really, really nice. Got some videos of that too that I didn't post. Just because who wants that? But the concert was great, is the point. And then we head over to the game. And the game... I'm trying to think how I want to say this. It was a defensive battle in the first half. We missed a field goal, then we made a field goal, went into the half leading by 3, and crowd was great. To lead into the game, there was Army Golden Knights, the parachutes, and they had flares on their parachutes, and it was super cool. That's one of the videos on there too. Of course, it set off all these, like, UFOs in Austin, like things on Reddit.
Definitely saw those.
Yeah, that was cute. And that was really cool. Marching band was great, which for us specifically, it's very impressive. Enjoyed that a lot. Fans were all top notch. My one complaint, or you should definitely know this if you're going to go to one of those games, is halftime. And I had a couple drinks at Casino El Camino, and was not going to be able to hold it for the whole game. Got all the way to halftime, though, just because I was that into the game. And it was just a nightmare. It was awful. It was definitely a, like, super spreader event if we were still in, like, the height of COVID.
Yeah.
It was just people crammed shoulder to shoulder, and the lines going into the restroom, but also coming out of the restroom, and then coming out of the stands, and then they had concessions across from the wall with the restroom, which was maybe 10 feet between the two, so just not a lot of place for a line to back up. And it just caused this crush of people. And at one point, like, I'm trying to walk sideways at the same time that this lady is trying to, like, I think get out of the bathroom and just get away from it all, and she's just pushing her back into me while I'm trying to go sideways. I'm like, this isn't gonna do what we want. And there was, like, a literal cyclone of people at one point, and I was like, this is bad. But whatever. I just ended up, like, drinking a beer while I waited for the lines to chill out. Because there's the concession, or not the concession stands, but just people with beer, and you do the square. And yeah, just had a beer against the wall. And by the time I finished that, the lines had died down a bit, so I missed the first, like, 4 minutes of the third quarter. But second half, like TCU does, like I was telling Jer, they would, just broke off a few, like, great plays. Quentin Johnson got his amazing touchdown on a play that looked like a broken play that Duggan was going to get sacked on. That was just a really cool pass. That's, like, in my head right now. So, yeah, I told Jared too that TCU is good for at least one turnover a game, and we got that pretty early on. And I was like, oh, we didn't waste that because we went into the half just only up by 3.
Right.
Yeah. And just, I mean, especially for your TCU fans, good game.
Absolutely believe it.
So that was fun. I was telling Jerry even when we were walking into the stadium that this is so much my vibe. Like, just being out at sunset before the game started, and then just, like, all these people, like, sunset in the city, my vibe. Like, all these people having a good time, my vibe. And then, yeah, I mean, UT lost or whatever, but, like, people weren't being assholes, and people weren't being down in the dumps or anything. In fact, there were, as TCU alum can attest to, the TCU fans are kind of the worst. can be real jerks. I remember having a lot of distasteful signs when we would play BYU. That, as a much older person now, I'd be like, come on, that's pretty rude. But there was also a great deal of adorableness. One of the photos on Facebook is these 3 guys that were in, like, frog onesies. Yeah, I thought that was cool. So cool. I was like, can I get a picture? And they were like, yeah. And then the walk back. So we Ubered from 7th to the campus, which, for those of you that know, that's maybe like a 20-minute walk.
Yeah.
So then we come out of the stadium, and we're in the crowd of people. We're like, all right, we're just going south. And still having a blast, because, again, we're back in the people, a lot of TCU fans in there, and just walking, and the crowd keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And then right as the crowd is basically totally thinned out, the first 3 or so blocks, the police have all the roads blocked off, so everybody's just walking on the road. But then also the crowd is going to the nearby parking lots and campus. Then the road blockage stops, so everybody's on the sidewalks, but then there's more garages where people were parked. We get to 7th Street, and there's basically just me and Jay. And then we get to 6th Street on a Saturday night. And it's been a while since I've been on 6th Street. For those that don't know or have never been, that's like our little French Quarter. That's on certain nights it's blocked off and it's just mayhem and fun. And the very first bar we go by, there's all these Marines that are like privates. I'm not sure if it's the same rank, but it's one. It's one. What's the name for it? I want to say Klaxon. That's not right. The one bar, and that's gonna bug me. I'm gonna remember that right after we finish this. But there's that one bar, so you can tell they're like fresh out, and they've just dominated the place, and just casually threw some profanity at them. I'm not talking about the rank. I'm talking about, like, what is the actual...
I was trying to figure out how to get to it.
Not a chevron.
Sure, it's not a chevron?
Yeah, maybe it's a chevron. Rocker. It's so quiet.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a chevron. Okay, yeah, so the one chevron, which I guess is a Lance Corporal is what it's saying. But little baby Marines, basically,
right.
is the point. And they had taken over the place. And I said something to the effect of, like, what are you fucking Marines doing here? To these 2 guys that were out smoking. And they were, like, hurt, offended, but then I just, like, laughed and smiled at them. And, like, did my hands like this. And they're like, okay. So it was fun for me. And then turn the corner and you're actually on 6th Street proper, and like the first thing, like turning the corner and like in front of me as close to me as you are to me right now. Mm-hmm. This guy with this huge ass white boa constrictor, like a giant snake wrapped around him. And I was like, Jeremy. Because this whole time I've been thanking him for the game, but then also just I'm absorbing all this energy from the situation of this is crazy, this is awesome, this is my vibe, and we're just going down the street. We pass these 3 police horses, and I'm like, Jeremy, let's get drunk and punch a police horse, and just trying to unnerve him. But also just because I was having such a good time. And then we got to the car, and then we got home, watched the tail end of USC. I'm a big Israel Adesanya fan. He lost, but he lost to this guy that is like a Ivan Drago sort of character.
Yeah.
Just like super stoic, super quiet. Just there to beat people up. Not a lot of scandal or extra to him,
Yeah.
which I always adore and admire in fighters. So that was just a magical little experience for me. Thanks to Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy. Heck yeah. Glad you had such a good time.
Yeah.
I was watching the game here and like so I could like follow along with the emotions that you were feeling at the time. Where there was that like 75-yard run or something broken off by TCU, and I was like, oh my god, I bet Nathan's flipping his shit.
Kendra Miller. Yeah. And then the replay, it just looked so easy. And some TCU fan put together a video of Miller's runs and DeMarcado's runs, and they move so fast, but it's in slow motion. You could see them like pushing people, like giving stiff arms and moving their legs, and like, oh, that's actually a lot of work. They're doing a lot more than you can like see because they're doing it so fast, which I'm a fan of.
No, I'm happy you had a great time, but a lot of what you just described to me just sounds like my absolute like hell.
The closeness and the stress.
Just the tons of people.
Oh yeah.
I just I'm just not. I used to get in there and fuck with that, but I don't know, man. These days I'm a little off on just being around of tens of thousands of people so close together.
So I guess I should say I wouldn't want to do that just anywhere.
Right.
Like, it's definitely a specific thing about like Texas and even Austin specifically, because since like 2008, like a good chunk of years, maybe 4 years, when I was doing the Army National Guard, I would come out to Austin because that's where my unit was, and I'd go see Spencer,
Right.
our dear friend Spencer, and we would like have a couple drinks, couple shots of whiskey, and then our thing to do is just like stroll and find a place to eat, and just a different place every time, and loved it every single time. Like, especially around Christmas when there's like bands like just playing on the corner, just Christmas music. Like, yeah, that's a big deal for me. Went to the Capitol tree lighting a few different times just because of wind drill, and that seemed to line up all the time. So yeah, it's not. I wouldn't want to New York City or Boston or really any of the East Coast where people aren't as southern as they are here. Friendly, I mean.
I feel you. I don't know, man. Though it's a lot of people. Just maybe someday I'll get back to wanting to do that. Like I don't even hardly want to go to like any kind of shows anymore. It's just so many people, man. Like I don't know. Makes me anxious. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I definitely understand the feeling. But I guess kind of that. Even the anxiety kind of makes me excited. I don't know. Like that street energy.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
It sounds like both the Big Ten and Big 12 championship games are scheduled. I don't think they know who TCU's opponent's going to be yet.
I don't even know who is going to represent Big Ten on the West or whatever it is. I mean, it's either going to be Michigan or Ohio State for the East, but I don't know who's going to actually get to the Big Ten championship. The other part of the Big Ten is just so shitty. Like, it's just hard to even tell. I mean, it's not even just that it's hard to tell. It's like, they're so bad over there. I just don't care. Like, being a Michigan fan, like, Ohio is the mission. We beat that. We're absolutely going to beat whoever comes to the Big Ten championship. And then we're going to go to the playoffs. So that's all I'm focused on right now. Ohio is the championship.
Yeah.
And just, I think we talked about this last week, but the way they built the divisions in Big Ten are just completely asinine.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they want Ohio and Michigan to play each other every year, because it's the game. Like, they want it to happen. But they're basically always the two best teams in the Big Ten. Like, to not be able to have the Big Ten championship winner be, like, them be able to play for that versus just a chance to go beat a shitty-ass Iowa team or Illinois or whatever. Knock on wood, because we play Illinois this week.
I was going to ask if you know who they play this week, because I'm not so confident in TCU. Like, they certainly haven't earned the unassuming or the... I could see them losing to Baylor this weekend, because that would be a classic thing to happen.
It's a trap game. That's what they call those.
Yeah, they said that about one of the other, West Virginia. They said that about West Virginia a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
A few weeks ago. And, yeah, but if TCU does get through Baylor, and I wish I could remember who the last team is, but don't. Oh, I think it's Iowa State. I think that's right. Then, yeah, Big Ten Championship, they could still lose that, and that would mess up their ranking. Or Big 12 Championship, I mean.
Yeah.
I do know it's going to be at AT&T Stadium, and we have some epic wins there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's like basically a home game. Like,
it is a home game, yeah.
no matter who they play.
Did you hear that they moved the Bills game, the Bills-Brown game, from 6 foot of snow in Buffalo to Detroit?
I did not. What?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was looking forward to like a super crazy snowy game.
They have all these videos from the last such game, and it looked like a lot of fun. Yeah. So that made me upset, and it does seem that as long as both teams agree, I think that's fine. That's fair, because that seems like it would play a huge advantage or disadvantage to one of the teams. But if they both say that they want to do that, then who am I to tell them otherwise? But if the NFL moved it because they were worried about it not getting enough viewers, or I don't know, even player safety, I would be upset.
I feel you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think whatever storm is about to come in is going to be like pretty serious for them.
Yeah, that's probably a big part of it too. So like, oh man, 6, because they were saying at first like it would probably only be 2 feet by the time that the game started.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if they're saying like, no, really, literally 6 feet of snow during the game, then yeah, I could see them being like, that's just too much.
Like, people could get trapped there, couldn't leave and get home, and then what? Like, I understand it.
Also, Ashley would point this out, that the fandom is such that, yeah, they would fill the place, and yeah, people would die.
Yep, they absolutely would.
That's a good fan base.
That is pretty interesting.
Our fantasy league, I think 5 weeks are left before playoffs.
I don't care. I'm out.
You're out?
I mean, I'm not out, but I'm gonna lose. Like, or I'm not getting to the playoffs. Like, I've come to that. I'm gonna try.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not gonna give up, and I'm not gonna quit tinkering and doing whatever. But I'm not gonna make it.
I know we've got a rash of 6-4 people. I'm pretty sure you're in there.
Nah, I lost Cup. Cup is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Hashes to hashes, huts to huts. He's dead.
Just get his replacement.
Man, I was holding on that hash to hashes, huts to huts for days.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't even react to it.
Mm-mm. What's huts to huts?
It's like ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Get that.
But
hashes, like football hashes.
Hut, like...
Okay.
They all said hut?
Alright. I'm more used to Omaha at this point.
They don't snap the ball on Omaha. What? You call yourself a football fan? Come on.
Okay, well, I got my first... I also suffered in fantasy, Kelley.
Shut the fuck up. Get out of here. Do not give me that shit. I'm going to start throwing stuff at you.
Abby beat me.
She beat you.
She beat me by 15-ish points. Maybe, no, it's 8 points. I started out as 10 points and then corrected to 8 points. And if I had played basically anybody other than who I played, I would have got that game. But such is the nature of fantasy football. It does appear as though Abby was on such a high that she just straight up got engaged moments later.
she turned to Brad and was like, "Hey, I beat Nathan. Let's get fucking married." And he was like, "Bet."
So I'm gonna take all the credit for that one.
I mean, I'll allow it.
I'm just gonna say I pushed Brad over the finish line on that. And in all seriousness, when we did our recap, we threw in a congratulations, and I was very happy to do that. We love love.
Oh, we fucking love love. Like, we love love. That's all I'm gonna say about that right now. Mm-hmm. But I honestly, in the recap, I wanted to say something about it, like rather than just be some text. But you definitely fill out my time spots with the writing you do for the recap, so I didn't have anywhere I could have snuck it in. I might have could have got it in the beginning, but didn't want to rush it.
We chatted a little bit about this, but I think this year we should have the commissioners meeting closer to the end of season, so that any changes we want to make, we actually remember to talk about them instead of going all summer.
Yeah, and I support that. Because I mean, I'd just rather have the commissioners meeting in better temperatures because commissioners conference, because sometimes we go out and we do some fun shit on those things, and I want it to be more enjoyable. I want to be able to like want to go outside. Like, I don't want to go sit out in the middle of July and watch a baseball game in the sun. Like, it just sounds horrible to me.
I get you.
5 million kajillion degrees. And I'm way too white for the sun. Like, the sun hurts me. I'm like,
climate change.
Like that, like, Nordic white. Yeah.
Good shit.
Uh-huh.
Alright, so I think we can call this one.
Yeah, this was a good one. Next week we're going to have a real fun one. We're going to dive into the World Cup, because that starts, and there's a lot of things we can talk about that, but we're just going to save that until next week, so we see how it goes, see what else happens, and yeah, a lot of good things. And next Thursday is fucking Thanksgiving.
Maybe we'll do it on Friday then.
I'll be around.
Okay.
So we'll get one out next week regardless, somehow, some way.
Some way.
I mean, I'm off on Wednesday too, so whenever you're ready.
That was good to me.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Ring the bell. And if you want to sign up for our Patreon, go to... I'm just kidding. We don't have a Patreon.
We don't have a Patreon.
All right. I'm out. Love you
Take care,
guys.
y'all. Bye.